The moon landing is often celebrated as one of humanity's greatest achievements, a moment when the impossible became possible, and the world watched in awe as humans set foot on another world for the very first time. In July 1969, millions gathered around their televisions, their eyes glued to the grainy black and white images beamed from the lunar surface, streets filled with cheering crowds, and the world seemed united in wonder and hope. It was a night that promised a new era, a future where the stars were within our reach. For many, the Apollo 11 mission stands as a purely American triumph, a testament to the nation's ingenuity, determination, and pioneering spirit. The sight of the American flag on the moon became an enduring symbol of freedom, progress, and the power of dreams. Neil Armstrong's iconic act of planting the flag was broadcast to every corner of the globe, a moment that seemed to confirm America's place as a leader in science and exploration. The image of the flag, gently waving in the lunar breeze, became a symbol not just of national pride, but of human achievement and the boundless possibilities of exploration. But beneath this inspiring narrative lies a far more complicated truth, one that is rarely discussed in history books or celebrated in public ceremonies. The story of the moon landing is not just about rockets and astronauts, but also about the hidden forces, difficult choices, and moral ambiguities that made it possible. The Apollo program's success was built not only on American innovation, but also on the expertise of German scientists whose pasts were deeply entwined with the Nazi regime. After World War II, the United States secretly brought dozens of these scientists to America under a classified program known as Operation Paperclip. Their knowledge of rocketry, developed during the darkest days of the war, became the foundation for America's space ambitions. The architect of the Saturn V rocket, Wernher von Braun, was once a member of the Nazi Party and the SS, building weapons for Hitler at the Peenemünde facility. His work on the V2 rocket brought terror to European cities, and his legacy is forever linked to both scientific brilliance and moral controversy. To understand how America reached the moon, we must confront a story of ambition, moral compromise, and secret alliances. The decision to recruit former enemies, to overlook their pasts in pursuit of a greater goal, shaped the very foundation of the space program. The technology that took us to the stars was born from a program that caused immense suffering. The V2 rockets, precursors to the Saturn V, were built using forced labor from concentration camps, and their development left a trail of destruction across Europe. This is the hidden history of the moon landing, a story of brilliance and darkness, of dreams and difficult choices. It is a reminder that even our greatest achievements are shaped by the complexities of history, and that the path to the stars is never as simple as it seems. Long before the world was torn apart by war, a young boy in Germany gazed up at the night sky, his imagination ignited by the wonders of the universe. Wernher von Braun, inspired by the pages of early science fiction novels and the quiet evenings spent with his mother's telescope, began to dream of a future where humans might one day travel among the stars. The mysteries of the cosmos called to him, and he found himself captivated by the idea that rockets could be the key to unlocking the secrets of space. In the vibrant, intellectually charged atmosphere of 1920s Germany, von Braun discovered a community of like-minded visionaries. These were men and women who, like him, were driven by a sense of wonder and scientific curiosity. They gathered in small clubs and workshops, sharing ideas, building experimental rockets, and dreaming of journeys beyond Earth. For them, rocketry was not about power or conquest, it was about exploration, discovery, and the pursuit of knowledge. Their experiments were humble and peaceful, often taking place in open fields on the outskirts of Berlin. Each launch, no matter how small or unsuccessful, was a step closer to the stars. The group's camaraderie and shared passion created an atmosphere of hope and possibility, as they imagined a future where rockets would carry people to the moon, Mars, and beyond. However, the political landscape was changing rapidly. As the Nazis rose to power, the German military began to take notice of the rocket enthusiasts. The Treaty of Versailles, which had imposed strict limitations on Germany's military capabilities after World War I, did not specifically mention rockets. The military saw this as a loophole, a way to develop new weapons technology without violating the treaty's terms. Von Braun soon found himself at a crossroads. He faced a profound moral dilemma. Should he abandon his lifelong dream of space exploration, or accept the support of the Nazi regime in order to continue his work? The promise of unlimited resources and a dedicated team was tempting, but it came at a heavy price. The regime offered von Braun everything he needed to advance his research, state-of-the-art laboratories, funding, and a team of brilliant minds. But in exchange, he would have to redirect his focus from peaceful exploration to the development of powerful weapons for the German military. Driven by ambition and the desire to see his rockets soar, von Braun made a fateful decision. He joined the Nazi Party and the SS, trading his dream of peaceful exploration for the harsh reality of war. His work would no longer be about reaching the stars, but about building weapons of unprecedented power. The once peaceful rocket society was quickly transformed into a secretive military program. Laboratories that had once echoed with laughter and excitement now buzzed with the urgency of war. Scientists donned military uniforms, and their research was shrouded in secrecy. The dream of reaching the stars was put on hold, replaced by the immediate and pressing task of building weapons for the Nazi war machine. Blueprints for space exploration were set aside, as the V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, became the new focus. Von Braun's path to the moon and to the future of space exploration began not in the light of scientific discovery, but in the shadow of the swastika. His journey would forever be marked by the choices he made during these dark and turbulent times. Backed by the full might of the Nazi war machine, Wernher von Braun's team at the secretive Peenemünde Army Research Center embarked on a mission that would change the course of history. Their goal was to develop a weapon unlike any the world had ever seen, a rocket capable of striking distant cities with devastating force. The result was the V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range ballistic missile, a technological marvel that pushed the boundaries of science and engineering. Under the watchful eyes of Nazi officials, von Braun and his engineers worked tirelessly, blending ambition with the dark realities of war. The V-2 could soar into the stratosphere, then plunge down at supersonic speeds, striking cities like London with almost no warning. For the first time, death and destruction rained from the sky faster than the speed of sound, leaving no chance for defense or escape. The psychological impact was immense. Civilians lived in constant fear, never knowing when or where the next rocket would fall. The V-2 was not just a weapon, it was a harbinger of a new era in warfare, where technology could deliver terror from afar. For von Braun, the successful launch of the VV-2 was a triumph of human ingenuity and scientific progress. He saw himself as a pioneer, pushing the limits of what was possible. Yet the reality was far more complex. The VV-2's primary purpose was not exploration or discovery, but destruction. Each successful test meant another step closer to unleashing devastation on enemy cities. Thousands of these rockets were launched against Allied cities, especially London and Antwerp. The attacks killed thousands of civilians, injured many more, and left entire neighborhoods in ruins. The V-2 campaign spread fear and chaos, forcing people to seek shelter underground and forever changing the landscape of urban life during wartime. Despite its terrifying power, the V-2 did not alter the outcome of World War II. Its impact was more psychological than strategic. But the rocket's legacy was profound. It foreshadowed the future of warfare, where missiles and rockets would become central to military power and global politics. The V-2 was a glimpse into a world where science and war would become inseparable. Von Braun, who had risen to the rank of major in the SS, was deeply embedded in the Nazi military-industrial complex. He attended meetings with high-ranking officials, wore the uniform, and was fully aware of the regime's goals. His work was not just scientific, it was political, and it was complicit in the machinery of war. In later years, von Braun would claim to be an apolitical scientist, driven only by curiosity and the dream of space travel. But the truth is more complicated. He actively participated in building weapons of mass destruction, overseeing projects that relied on forced labor and contributed directly to the Nazi war effort. His hands were not clean. The V-2 rocket, once a symbol of technological hope and human achievement, became forever linked to the swastika and the suffering it caused. Its image, emblazoned with Nazi insignia, stands as a stark reminder of how science can be twisted to serve the darkest ambitions. In the end, von Braun's genius could not be separated from the horrors of war. His legacy is a complex one. Brilliant scientist, visionary engineer, and a man whose greatest achievements were born in the shadow of unimaginable suffering. The darkest chapter of the V-2 story unfolded underground at Mittelwerk, where rockets were built by concentration camp prisoners. Forced laborers endured starvation, disease, and brutality in squalid tunnels, assembling rockets under SS Guard. Over 20,000 died, more than the V-2 killed in combat. Von Braun's defenders say he was just a technical director, but evidence shows he visited Mittelwerk and selected prisoners for skilled labor. He was not a bystander. He managed a system built on slave labor. His ambition for rockets outweighed the suffering around him. The V-2s that soared skyward were monuments to both scientific achievement and human tragedy. This stain would follow von Braun and his team to America. The cost of reaching the stars was paid in blood and misery. As Germany collapsed in 1945, von Braun and his team knew their expertise made them valuable and vulnerable. Fearing Soviet capture or Nazi retribution, they decided to surrender to the Americans. They hid their research, then sought out US forces, offering their knowledge as a bargaining chip. Magnus von Braun approached American troops. "My brother invented the V-2, we want to surrender." The Americans quickly realized the value of their prize. Von Braun and his scientists were treated not as prisoners, but as assets. The US raced to secure their documents, equipment, and personnel before the Soviets could. The Cold War's first secret battle was over Nazi rocket technology. The men who built weapons for Hitler were now keys to America's future. The stage was set for a controversial alliance. The US faced a dilemma. Von Braun's team offered unmatched expertise, but their Nazi pasts were undeniable. President Truman's orders barred Nazi Party members from entry, but national security took precedence. Operation Paperclip was born, a secret program to bring German scientists to America, their records sanitized. Intelligence agencies erased evidence of Nazi affiliations and war crimes. Men complicit in atrocities were recast as apolitical geniuses. Over 1,600 scientists, including von Braun, were brought to the U.S., their pasts hidden from the public. They settled in Texas and Alabama, tasked with building rockets for their former enemy. The US made a cold calculation: scientific progress outweighed justice. The men who once built weapons for Hitler would now help America reach the stars. In America, von Braun's team started at Fort Bliss, frustrated and under watch, launching captured V-2s and training US personnel. Their ambitions were stifled until the Cold War intensified. The Soviet launch of Sputnik in 1957 shocked the US and ignited the space race. Suddenly, von Braun's expertise was in demand. Moved to Huntsville, Alabama, his team developed the Redstone rocket, launching America's first satellite and astronaut. With NASA's creation, von Braun became the public face of US space down. By San, Soinakorfin, Mbabino Kensa Destedison Bonstons. His team began work on the Saturn V, evolving principles first used for the V-2. The German scientists, now leading thousands of Americans, were finally building the vehicle of von Braun's dreams. The path, from Peenemünde to the moon, ran through the heart of the American dream. The Saturn V was the most powerful rocket ever built, a masterpiece of engineering born from decades of work. On July 16, 1969, it launched Apollo 11, carrying Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins to the moon. 4 days later, Armstrong's one small step became a global moment of triumph. The US had won the space race, fulfilling Kennedy's promise. In the control room, von Braun watched with tears, his lifelong dream realized. The rocket he conceived performed flawlessly, securing his place in history. He was celebrated as an American hero, the visionary behind Apollo. But the dark origins of his work remained hidden, a footnote in the story of triumph. The moon landing was both a pinnacle of achievement and a product of moral compromise. Wernher von Braun's legacy is a paradox. Visionary genius and complicit architect of suffering, he inspired a nation and led humanity to the moon. But his ambition was fueled by a pact with a monstrous regime. The V-2 brought terror, the Saturn V brought hope. Operation Paperclip forced America to choose progress over justice, hiding the truth from the public. Von Braun's story is a reminder that scientific achievement can come at a terrible cost. We cannot separate the NASA hero from the Nazi engineer. The true story of the moon landing is complex, unsettling, and deeply human. It challenges us to remember that progress is rarely pure, and that our heroes often have shadows we cannot ignore.